All right, let's talk about something we all use every single day, but maybe don't think enough about locking down: our home Wi-Fi. In just the next few minutes, we're going to break down the key steps to make your wireless network way more secure. And it all starts with a simple question.
So let me just ask you, is your Wi-Fi network basically an open invitation for anyone driving by? Because honestly, without the right settings, that's exactly what it is. And this isn't just about stopping your neighbors from streaming movies on your dime. It's about protecting your actual personal information.
And here's the heart of the problem. Just think about how it works. Wireless signals are literally flying through the air. That makes them wide open to anyone in range who might want to listen in on what you're doing, or even try to get onto your network and mess with all your devices.
Okay, so where do we even begin? Well, our first line of defense is all about the simple stuff: managing your network's visibility to make yourself a much less obvious target. First things first, let's get on the same page with a key term here, the SSID. That sounds really technical, right? But the service set identifier is just the public name of your Wi-Fi network. It's the name that pops up in the list when you're trying to connect your phone. And it's kind of funny, but just look at the difference a name makes. If you leave that default name like Linksys or Netgear 5G, you're basically advertising to any potential attacker exactly what kind of router you have. And that lets them look up known security flaws for that specific model. Just changing it to something unique and clever makes you way less interesting. But here's a little secret: the network name isn't the most important thing to change. The single most critical password on your entire network, it's not the one you give your friends to get online. It's the password that lets you into your router's main controls.
And I cannot stress this enough, this is so, so important. Almost every router comes from the factory with a super obvious username and password, like admin and password. If you never change that, anyone who gets on your network can log in and take over everything. They can see what you're doing, lock you out, you name it. This should be the absolute first thing you do. All right, so we've kind of hidden our network in plain sight and locked down the control panel. Now let's move on to the next layer: deciding who actually gets the key to use your internet.
So there are a few ways networks handle this. You've got your wide open networks with zero password protection, scary stuff. Then you have these big enterprise systems for businesses where everyone has their own login, and something called captive portals. But for pretty much all of us at home, we're using this one right here, the pre-shared key.
And that sounds technical, pre-shared key or PSK, but it's really simple. It's just your Wi-Fi password. That's it. The one password that everyone in your house uses to get their devices connected to the network.
And this really highlights why that simple password, which works great for us at home, is a total disaster for a big company. Can you imagine having to walk around and update the Wi-Fi password on hundreds of different computers every single time an employee leaves? It would be a nightmare. So if that single shared password is a no-go for big public places, what do? Well, you've seen the solution a million times. It's called a captive portal. That's that web page that pops up at a hotel, an airport, or a coffee shop, making you log in or agree to terms before it lets you online. It's how they manage tons of temporary users. Okay, this is the big one, the real secret sauce. We've controlled who can see our network and who can get on it. Now, for the most important part, making sure that even if someone could listen in, all they'd hear is gibberish. We're talking about encryption. This table basically tells the whole story of Wi-Fi security. It started with WEP, which turned out to be, well, terrible. Then WPA came along as a quick patch. But for years now, the gold standard has been WPA2, and now we're starting to see the even better WPA3. Let's be crystal clear here. If your network is still using WEP, you might as well have no password at all. It's so fundamentally broken that there are free tools online that can crack it in just a few minutes. It should never, ever be used. WPA2, on the other hand, uses the strong AES algorithm that's the same standard used to protect sensitive data everywhere. It is the absolute minimum you should accept today. So you might be thinking, if WPA2 is so good, why do we even need WPA3? Well, think of it as the next evolution. It's built to defend against modern attacks. Its main new feature, this thing called SAE, is a game changer. It protects you even if your password isn't perfect, making it way harder for hackers to just guess their way in. If your router has WPA3, you should absolutely turn it on. Phew, okay, we've gone through all the layers, the names, the passwords, the secret codes. So now, let's boil it all down into a super simple, actionable checklist you can use to lock down your own network.
Here it is, just 4 key steps. Number 1, and this is the most important, get into your router settings and make sure you're using WPA2 or even better WPA3 encryption. Number 2, change that default admin password on the router itself. Number 3, make your actual Wi-Fi password long and unique. And finally, a little bonus tip, when you're out and about on public Wi-Fi, use a VPN. It basically creates your own private encrypted bubble on those sketchy networks.
And that really brings us to the most important takeaway. You can do all of this, and you'll have a rock-solid, secure network. But that's only half the battle, right? Because a strong fence doesn't matter much if you invite trouble inside. Securing the network is one thing, but what about the security of the phones, laptops, and smart TVs you're connecting to it? Well, that is a whole other story.